But let us be clear, we didn't join Europe to be swallowed up in some bureaucratic conglomerate where it's Euro this and Euro that, and forget about being British or French or Italian or Spanish. We're British, and we're proud of it, proud of our traditions. Proud of our traditions, proud of our national character, proud of our Westminster Parliament. We want to preserve them, and we shall. But there are those who see it very differently. They dream of a European superstate run from Brussels by people who claim to know what's best for us. And they have their supporters in Britain, in the Labour Party, who think it's for politicians to tell people how to run their lives, instead of leaving them the freedom to do it themselves. Chairman, that's not the Conservative way. We believe that willing and active cooperation between independent sovereign states is the best way to build a successful European community. We want to work with our friends in Europe at the things we can do better together than alone. We know that Britain and everything she stands for is more powerful and influential when we do so. That's true, for example, for trade. By acting together, we're stronger when it comes to negotiating with other great centers of economic power, the United States, Japan, the newly emerging countries of the Pacific. But that doesn't mean that Europe should run our lives in every detail. We don't need Europe to tell us what to do in those areas of our life which we can run perfectly well ourselves. Industrial relations, for example, our social security, our health service, our education and taxation. These are things for our own Parliament. It's a family of nations that we seek, working more closely together, but each cherishing its national identity, its character, and its own way of doing things. Let's recall some of our Conservative achievements in Europe. We've got a much fairer financial deal for Britain than the one Labour left us with. Indeed, since 1985 alone, we've got back £5 billion for Britain. And if it hadn't been for us Conservatives, Britain would now be paying nearly twice as much to Europe as we are today. We led the way in getting down the food surpluses. The common agricultural policy was swallowing up ever more resources, not to pay over to the farmers, but to finance food mountains and wine lakes. Labour said it was a scandal, but they just talked about it. We acted. And now the surpluses are shrinking fast. That's good news for the consumer, good news for the taxpayer, and good news for the British farmer too. He's the backbone of country life. The farmer's the backbone of country life, and now he has a sounder basis for the future. And we were the first to raise the scandal of fraud, which is costing the taxpayer and the consumer billions of pounds. Now steps are being taken to put a stop to that. We held out against attempts to impose VAT on our children's clothes, on the food we eat, and on the fuel which heats our homes, and we won. We stopped attempts by other countries to impose a new European tax on savings. It took us a time. We fought and fought and fought, and in the end we won. All of that and more we've done. People know that we Conservatives stand up and fight for Britain's interests in the common market. And what happens? Labour wring their hands and protest that we're far too combative. What do they want? A doormat? they say that we're isolated, as if being isolated in fighting for what is right for your own country were a cardinal sin. Sometimes you have to stand alone and give a lead. To coin a phrase with which Mr. Barron, or should I say CJ, will be familiar, I didn't get where I am today by not fighting Britain's corner. And whatever lofty phrases some other countries use about European Union, when it comes to the nitty-gritty, they fight their corner too. And yet when we do the same, they argue that we're not good Europeans. Not good Europeans? When anyone takes that line, just ask them this. Which country is the second biggest contributor to the common market's budget? Britain. Which country keeps 70,000 of her armed forces in Germany to help Europe's defense? Britain. Which country has the most open market of any in Europe? You can see it in our high streets, in the goods we buy. And when it comes to keeping the rules, which of the main European countries has been the subject of fewest complaints? Britain, of course. We play hard, but we play by the rules. When it comes to what you do in practice, you'd find it difficult to improve on Britain's record.